Can you believe it? The second last episode of Dole TV ever. What are you going to do with yourself when it finishes up?
I was thinking about seeing could I get on that Republic of Telly.
Well, you're not a bit old and a bit skangery for that.
Alex, Sammy, here, I'll do it for you right now. Here, give me camera one. Tonight on Republic of Telly, we get cheap laughs from showing you that TV was different in the 80s. We'll find out it's possible to gaze at your navel and disappear up your own ass at the same time. And we'll be deriving endless amusement from the fact that working class people watch absolute shite TV. Told you, piece of piss.
Episode 4 of the final series of Dole TV. It's so close to the end, I can smell the anointing oil.
But unlike Michael Hutchins and David Carradine, we're going to go out with a proper bang. We have a fascinating interview with historian and blogger Donald Fallon about the uses and abuses of Dublin history.
And we're going to be holding a mirror up to Irish society and asking, what the fuck are yous at like?
Yeah. But let's get underway with a walking tour of Dublin from our old friend, Maddie the Christ O'Smithix.
I'm standing on the site of the Hooers Rebellion of 1823. It was here that a small band of pox-ravaged rent boys took on the might of the British Empire. My name is Matty O'Smithix, and this is my Dublin. They moved the shagging streets. It's a city of raucous silence and crusty old ones out for the ride. When I stand here, I just feel so connected with the city. Time seems to be submerged beneath those granite grey waves. It's like the ebb and flow of the river is synchronised with my heartbeat. Did you see that? We're just spotting a fish. My name is Matty O'Smithix. I am the stringy rashers in your granny's coddle. I am the pin-sharp stench of piss on the 17A. I am the crystal shards of frozen vomit on every cracked pavement. My name is Matty O'Smithix. I am Dublin. Now fuck off.
Have you ever kept a blog, Dean?
Is that like a hamster or something, is it?
It's exactly like a hamster. It's like a virtual hamster that you put on the internet for everybody to gawk at until it dies of starvation.
No, it's not. I know what a bleeding blog is. Here, and one blog everybody should be looking at is Come Here To Me. And one of its founders, Donald Fallon, dropped in a couple of weeks ago and I had a chat with him. Starving hamsters, that was in very bad taste.
Oh, but jokes about David Carradine and Michael Hutchins are grand.
Listen, the day a hamster wanks himself to death in the cupboard, I'll be the first to bleed and laugh, right? Leave the hamsters alone. They suffered enough under Richard Gere.
That was gerbils, and it was an urban myth, probably started by fucking hamsters.
Donald Fallon, how's it going?
How are you doing? Good to be in with you.
Thanks very much. Thanks for coming into Dole TV. So, Come Here To Me, the blog. That wasn't a chat-up line or anything like that.
Come here to me, did I tell you about Come Here To Me?
So, the online digital blog about the forgotten history, characters, great stories of Dublin. You know, what inspired you to
Where
get...
they come from?
Yeah.
It's 3 years old, pretty much exactly 3 years old, and it wasn't even my idea. Of the three of us, myself, Sam and Kieran, it was I think Sam's idea 3 years back that we should start this blog celebrating all that's good about Dublin. Mm-hmm. At the time, things were pretty grim, as people remember. Of course, they're much better now, everything's back to normal. But 3 years ago, we had friends flying off left, right and centre, things were closing down. There was just a bad vibe about the place, and Dublin looked a bit bad, and we decided that we'd unearth the little gems that were there. And it wasn't a history
Is it because
blog.
You wanted to stay?
Well, we just wanted to celebrate the place and paint it in a better light. Originally, it looked like an alcoholics blog because the first thing we launched was a pub crawl. We decided that we were going to do a monthly pub crawl of 5 pubs. Normally, it took about 10 pubs, or 8 pubs at least, and that was really what we began doing. It was only well into the project that we started getting into the history, and people started responding to that, because that sort of ordinary history, that kind of working class history, just it's not really spoken of in Dublin. And people began, the readership, once we turned towards that kind of history angle, shut up. And today we're very, very fortunate in terms of what people send us and what people engage with us on.
I like the stuff you've done, the new kind of subculture stuff like ADW's art and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, all that stuff. It's not all history. It's a balance of the old and the new.
Yeah.
So in terms of the contemporary stuff, we're interested in anyone who's using the city as a canvas, for example. People like ADW, Mazer, Sullis, and other people who are throwing up great stuff on the hoardings of buildings which have been closed for a couple of years.
And it's kind of their reaction to what's happening now and so on. But there's also a lot of kind of stuff that you uncover and show people and go, do you remember this in 1916? Do you remember this in the 30s?
Oh, do you remember this in 2002 or 2003? Some of it is incredibly recent stuff that was just never written up and people are fascinated by. One of the most popular articles recently was about when they tried to move Wimbledon Football Club to Dublin, which would have killed League of Ireland soccer in the city. That kind of stuff just resonates with people because they remember being involved in that campaign to stop Wimbledon coming to Dublin.
And you've shown me stuff that would have been maybe forgotten by design.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Are there ones like that stand out for you?
Some of it's this idea of Dublin in the Railway Times is total rubbish. This idea of that we were poor but we were happy.
Yeah.
And people were poor and miserable.
Yeah, I watched Strumpet City. They were pretty miserable. In
yeah,
that.
Well, even that is worse than that. Even in reality, when you reach, like, if you go back to the 1930s, some of the stuff we've had on like youth gang violence in the 1930s. They talk about gangs today like they fell from the sky.
Yeah.
You know, in the 30s, you had kids. You know, animal gangs and other gangs that were fighting each other left, right, and centre in the city. Yeah. That kind of stuff is forgotten for a reason. Okay. It's been omitted from history. The slums.
For what purpose?
Well, I mean, Dublin post-independence was probably as bad a place to live, if not a worse place to live, than Dublin in the years it was under British rule.
Yeah.
If you look at the housing crisis in Dublin in the late 20s and 30s, independence didn't change any of that.
Yeah.
Monto, the red light district, was still there for 3 years after independence. The lights didn't come on overnight with independence. It's an awkward truth for people that Dublin in the 1930s was a pretty miserable place to live.
Yeah. One of the things that I do get some inspiration from are the subcultures, like the graffiti and all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? The stuff out there that I don't see on your site that you are privy to now, you know? Yeah,
well, even going back, I mean, Sam in particular has been keen on looking at stuff like the Teddy Boys and all these old movements going back to punks, the skinheads back in the day. And it's not only us, there's a whole movement of people that are now interested in this sort of working class history and putting it out there in the public domain. And
you're doing your own book now. You've come away a little bit from the laptop and you've put pen to paper.
Come out of our bedrooms for a while and we decided that we'd go into print.
Okay.
Because being historians and lefties as well, we've got an obsession with print and books. And we always wanted to do a book. And we're aiming now for a lovely hardback book which will be out in early December, and we kept it local. My brother Luke, who's an illustrator, he done the cover, and it's really a selection of our favourite articles.
He also done the set for.
He also done the old
TV
set. It's a selection of 70, just under 70 articles from the site. So that's wrong. It's a collection of around 70 articles, most of which are from the site, but some of which are brand new, and some of the ones that were on the site have been expanded. And one thing we've done is we've included some of the comments people left on the site in the book. So that it makes a lot of sense when you see it.
It'll be an app soon.
It'll be an app soon.
So is it about a specific area or genre or time or?
It covers everything. It covers, Red Scares in Dublin in the 1930s, skinheads in Dublin in the 1970s. There's stuff in the 18th century. Some of the funny street names in Dublin. There's everything and anything. The far right in the 1950s. More recent stuff, League of Ireland history.
We're 100 years on from a big event in Dublin's history. I'm not talking about 1916, I'm talking about the lockout, 1913.
If you look at the centenary of the Rising, which is coming up, that's a totally top-down affair.
Yeah.
Like even for the 90th anniversary, we saw in 2006, there were tanks rolling down O'Connell Street, as if that was some kind of people's commemoration. If we're not careful in 1913, the same thing could happen. The lockout commemoration could be fenced off from ordinary people.
Yeah.
So we need to begin organising a centenary
We all have little
from the
moustaches
bottom up. And there's people doing that. There's people like the North Inner City Folklore Project that have been doing that work for years and years. But the wheels are in motion there, and we have to make sure that 2013, we have a 2013. The things that we celebrate about the lockout are really the incredible spirit, the community spirit that was shown at the time, the solidarity and the strength of the solidarity. But there's also some of the battles in 1913 were never won.
Yeah.
They weren't won then and they're not won now. You know, the right to organise in some workplaces still isn't there. The battles of 1916 continue in many ways. And politicising 2013 is something that we have to do next year. A really good point that Michael D. Higgins of all people made in Liberty Hall. He was saying that we talk about the lockout as something awful that happened in an occupied country.
Yeah.
But William Martin Murphy, the leading employer in Dublin at the time, was an Irish nationalist himself. It had nothing to do with Irish nationalism and the British presence in Ireland. It was class politics.
That was it.
It was a class dispute, and we still have those class relations today.
It's a pleasure to have you in. I wish you all the best with your book, and get on to the website comeheretome.com.
Now. We finally chipped in a tenner each.
Commercialisation.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, pal.
Thank you, Dave.
Nice one. Cheers. Okay, folks, you're joining us at a very auspicious moment. We're just about to isolate the gene that made Irish people start liking rugby.
There it is! I've got it. It's right next to the stripy scarf gene in the Irish independent chromosome.
That's amazing. How close are we to a cure?
Hard to say. I've tried diversion therapy with massive doses of George Hook, but it only seems to make things worse.
You keep trying there because thousands of little fakers and thurkers are depending on you.
Okay, guys and girls. This is a situation as of wake up the fuck o'clock this afternoon. A group of unemployed underwear models has established a vast criminal empire smack in the middle of Dublin's glamorous nightclub district.
Where's that, Chief?
We still have no idea. Now these boys are strutting around with actual rocket launchers stuffed down their Calvin Kleins, and not one of you silage-brained cockwits has managed to lay a culchy flying fucking finger at any of them.
How would you give us a chance? We've only been at it 3 years, sure, that's no time.
And they're always one step ahead. I mean, they wear hoods, for God's sake.
They've killed more people than AIDS.
But they wear hoods, and with the hoods.
Look, you can't fight that shit. That's Moriarty shit.
I find it very confusing with all the hoods.
Okay, listen. For future reference, look for bronzed up ponces in tracksuits who sound like Brian O'Driscoll choking on Ronnie Drew. That's all you have to do. Matthews, what have you got?
Okay, this, as far as we can discern, is the structure of the criminal enterprise. There's a Mika here, and this portion of the chart you can see another Mika. I think there might be 3 Mikas, I'm not sure. And also Willa, who might be Mika's brother. This fella here we think might be dead because we haven't heard from him in a couple of years.
The guy with the beard?
He used to have a little goatee and he was in that thing with the other fella. I don't know if you remember him. I can't remember his name.
Okay, and that more or less is that.
Oh, we've got one special episode which features all of our favourite sketches from all of the Dole TV episodes. So what's that?
And on the screen right now is a list of all the people that we libelled along the way.
This list is of people that we wanted to libel but just never got round to libelling.
And if you take one message from this show, remember that existence is suffering, resistance is futile, and don't believe anything you see on TV.
Oh, also we'd like to say a big thank you to everyone who was involved from Series 1 until now. Stuart, Neve, Tim, Connor, Fabu, Nelly, Abby, everyone at DCTV. And hope you enjoy the episode. Bye!
Bye-bye.